prepared. And I'm going to share my screen.
Okay.
Okay. So tonight we are talking about conversations that convert and really kind of walking you guys through how to talk to someone and then like get them to buy something and then what to do. So if you're not at this point where you're like having these conversations, this hopefully won't be overwhelming to you, but if anything, just kind of tuck it in the back of your mind and then be like, okay, I remember Abby talked about this 3 months ago, and then we can kind of chat through it again. But this is really my process, and I've definitely tried and failed along the way with stuff. So before that, I just want to go over, and if you are on my team and or on my call this last week, we talked about this, but just like $20 off Bar Blend challenge packs right now. It's 60% off like the 2B Mindset and Ultimate Portion Fix. So I usually add those on to challenge packs because I know people with their nutrition, it's super important. The Bar Blend launched this last week. Vegan Beach Bars just came out. And then if you were an active coach, you got those promo codes and possibly got them refilled. So those are kind of nice to offer. And then in your back office, one of the things I always like to show, just because I did not do probably enough poking around when I was a new coach, is in your home, there is, computer's going to thing out. Okay, hold on. I'll flame back in here. Have you spent much time in the back office yet, Stephanie? Not really. Okay. So
no, not a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on. So the first thing that's I think important to know is the training tab. So this is like where the basics of like the compensation plan, getting started, like just the very basic stuff that's going to be really helpful. So if you have 10 minutes and you're like, okay, what the heck do I do with like, how do I share my journey? Like, how do I do this besides just watching what Abby does? This is like a great little video that kind of explains it. So there's some really good, just brief overviews. Then in the Grow My Business, this is just a really cool tool that you can use in here. Like these are all challenge group guides, and we have these for our teams too. But right in here in the product tools, if you have questions, like if someone has questions about like, let's do morning meltdown because I know that you're doing that, you can click on and it has all sorts of stuff in here. It has product training, which is kind of like an overview of like how you would describe the program to someone if you're like struggling with it. How to find your solution. It's like a little quiz that you can send to your customer and ask them like certain things, and it'll help them find like the perfect challenge pack. There is the preview, like the sample workout. Like there's just all sorts of stuff in here, which is really, really cool. So just kind of being aware of these resources is helpful. So that is what that is. Then I know that Rachel and I have both shared these in here, but if you're needing post ideas, we did like a whole post thing, and I promise that when you zoom in on it, it's not blurry, it's just kind of small. So it has like just some ideas for posts that you can do, kind of figuring out how to like post about more than just Beachbody, where people really get to know you. And I think that one of the biggest things, this kind of leads into what we'll talk about tonight, is allowing people to get to know you, because they can, and Rachel talked about this last week, I know, social media, but they can go purchase from anyone. They can go buy stuff from Amazon or eBay or wherever, but what they're really going to connect with is your story and your journey and like your heart for why you're doing this. And so starting to share stuff beyond just coaching and kind of like what's your family's Christmas tradition, and like I'm going to post tonight about making cookies with my kids, and no, they're not healthy cookies, they're totally on top peanut butter ones because they're fun and that's Christmas. I don't want people to feel like they have to be restrictive with me, and I want them to see that. So just kind of those things. So that's just an example. So now we're going to really talk about these 3 things. I know for me, I was really, I think every new coach is, nervous, and it just felt overwhelming to try to figure out how to have a conversation with someone in a way that led to a sale. Because let's be honest, we want to help them, we want all those things to happen, but didn't feel salesy, that didn't feel spammy, and felt really authentic. And so these 3 things are really the biggest ones that we're going to kind of talk about tonight. The very first thing is that the vital behaviors that we talk about, which is sharing your story, connecting with new people, like adding to your network, inviting people to join you, and then recognizing success. Those are the rules of the game. And those really are like, if you can do just those base things and your personal development in there, your business will grow. But it is a compound effect, meaning you truly don't see, I mean, unless you just totally get lucky, which absolutely happens to some people where everyone in their town and their mom and their sister are like, sign me up. That was not my story. I know it happens to some people. But truly what happens is a lot of times you will see the fruit of the work that you do right now anywhere between 2 weeks to 2 months from now. It's kind of this compound effect. And that's really hard because we live in like this instant society. Like, I think I heard the phrase the other day, you want to have crock pot dreams in a microwave society, right? We have these big goals, or we get discouraged when something doesn't happen. And we feel like we're putting in all this work and putting ourselves out there and being vulnerable and failing forward, and there's nothing to show for it. But the truth is people are watching behind the scenes, and maybe it takes them 2 weeks or 2 months of realizing that you're not going anywhere and that this isn't some weird fad and that it is working for you, or they, stuff like that. So you have to just give it the time. And all of these things are things that I do daily, that Rachel does daily, and they truly lead to success. So the very first thing we're going to kind of back out is she talked a lot about sharing your story through social media last week. And so if you guys haven't listened to that one yet, I would definitely go back and watch that call. But it really is just sharing you, just sharing your journey. What are you cooking for your kids? What's in their lunchbox? What is a healthy meal you're doing? How was your workout? Not just posting to post like, good job, you got your workout in, but why does it matter? Did you do a move you couldn't do before? Did you cry and want to throw up but kept going? Did your kid sit on top of your head? Like whatever it is, like adding value to people where they really start to resonate with that. So making sure that when you're sharing things, they're things that really do encourage, inspire, educate. Maybe there's just a funny like mom life memes. People love those things. It doesn't have to be, everything should not be Beachbody, but I always kind of try to run my posts through that filter. Like, am I encouraging or being funny or educating? Like, how am I don't just want to be a so what? Like, good for you, Abby, you did this today, but more of like, how can I give? So that's what we're doing on like the social media front. And she went over that really well. The next thing that we do is we have to find new people. And so when I started my business, and Stephanie, are you working more? I feel like I asked you this before and I'm just blanking. Are you doing more on Instagram or Facebook? Or do you just prefer both equally?
I do combo. I just do both.
Do you feel like you have one that gets more engagement than the other right now, or is it pretty even?
Yeah, I feel like I have more coming through on Instagram than Facebook.
Okay, perfect. So when I started this way back when, Instagram was around, but it wasn't like a thing yet. And I built my business for solidly the first 2 years on Facebook. Then 2 years ago, the last 2 years have really been on Instagram, and I will post on Facebook, but I feel like more people, and I honestly had to relearn. I felt like a brand new coach again. I almost had to relearn how to post on Instagram. Like, it's a different beast. It's really interesting. Like, I could post, like on Instagram, people want it to be a little prettier, and on Facebook, they don't. So like, if I post a pretty picture on Facebook, like meaning like I ran it through a filter or it was a little more staged, for lack of a better word, it won't get as much engagement as like the total just like red face, sweaty selfie kind of thing necessarily, where on Instagram, it's the reverse. So I felt like I had to relearn. But the nice thing with Instagram is that when you're finding new people, unlike Facebook, it's one of those things where people expect it. I feel like on Facebook, if random people friend request me, I'm instantly sketched out by that. Like, who are you? So when I connected and found new people on Facebook for those first 2 years, it was literally going to like my husband's friend list on Facebook, and I realized like, oh, he has like 50 friends from college that I'm not friends with on here. Like, that's weird. So I just added them all. If we had 10 friends or more, or I would be in like a mom's group, like there's those babies born in May and June of 2013 groups or those things. And I just interact like, because I genuinely had questions and I wasn't trying to be a creeper. But as I got to know certain moms in those groups, like I would add them as a friend on Facebook. So that's sort of how Facebook works. With Instagram, these are some tips. So these are some top coaches that gave some of their tips. And I've started doing these same things and it's worked really well. I always make sure that my profile is public. And so finding some accounts that you like under 100,000 or a friend from college. And when they post a photo, I follow and engage with people who interact on that photo quickly. And then engaging with people that you follow and kind of just, you can kind of read this, but a lot of it is just kind of finding your niche. So look around your house at like, what books are you reading? What recipes do you like to make? What do you like to watch on TV? What would you be searching on Pinterest or Googling? And think of like, okay, I'm going to go follow those people. So an example of this that like I like to do would be, and Stephanie, if you don't follow this gal already, you should, because she's, I feel like, do you follow Becky Thompson at all?
No, I don't.
She is like my favorite devotional writer, and she's a mom, and like her stuff, like her book, like I just love her. She has kids 10 and under. She's older than me, but just a little bit ahead of me in life, and she's a really strong Christian. And I know that any gal who is engaging on Becky Thompson's stuff is probably my tribe. She probably has young kids too. She loves Jesus. She's probably a hot mess, and she's looking for encouragement because this is all that gal is about. She's super real. So what I would do is I would go to her followers, and I would just, I'd look at who she's following, but I'd also go to her followers and maybe add a few of those people. Be like, okay, and I would like go really quickly to their profile. Like hers private, I might add her, maybe, or if someone's public, that's really easy. But I kind of just go really quickly, and I just try to find like 10 people. It's really easy to grow your following by 10 people. And then the other thing that you can do is like looking at the most recent post and saying like, who's actually engaging on this? Because if they're actually commenting on stuff, they are going to be active on social media, and something that I can kind of follow here. So I would just go and be like, okay, Jolly Molly, she really likes her cat and she really likes her food. Like I could give her a follow. And so that's really what I do. So thinking through other things like for baby brands that you use, like I don't go for health and fitness ones. I go for like products that I'm already using. Like, I mean, this is going to sound silly, but you guys are moms. Like Nose Frida.
Yeah.
Like for your baby, right? Like I'll go look at the hashtag on that and I'll be like, okay, this is like cracks me up to see all the pictures. But I'm like, these are real moms, like sucking the snot out of their baby's nose. And I'm going to go look at her profile and just kind of take a gander. And basically, if it looks like someone that I would want to be friends with, I will add them as a friend. So that's all I do. And I take about 10 minutes and I'll just go through that. So you can do it with brands or blogs or TV shows. You can also do it with hashtags like I just did, like Nose Frida. When I was pregnant with Paisley, I did like hashtag 24 weeks pregnant or whatever, however many weeks pregnant I was. And I would just go. So when I do a hashtag, I always do, I don't go to the top posts because these are going to be like big time bloggers and stuff. I go to, and on your phone, it looks a little different. I go to most recent because those are not necessarily going to be like, and what I scroll for is I scroll to look for a picture that looks like something I would post. Like, this is too pretty for me. That's intimidating. Like, that's not me. Like, my house does not look like that. I probably wouldn't take my picture in a lacy bra, like no offense to her, but that probably isn't necessarily me. But this one, I'm like, okay, you look like this kind of looks like something that I would do. So I just briefly, and this can be easy to get sucked into a like time trap on. Mm-hmm. Set a timer and honor your time and just say like, my goal is to find 10 new friends on Instagram, or going to your friends accounts and looking at who they're following. And then what I do is I will do exactly what she does, like engage on stuff. So after I make a post, I will go to their account and it's not an invite. It's just like, I'll go to their stories and I'll click through and I would say something like, oh my gosh, Stephanie, like that was the coolest little kids Christmas craft. Like I've been looking for that. Or, just a genuine, normal comment, like being, and I think this is where we psych ourselves out. We forget to be normal. We're all of a sudden like, how do I talk to people? It's like, no, you just like go through and I'll find something in their stories to compliment or, ask a question on. Like there was a gal, she had this like cookie recipe she posted and we were making cookies tonight and I was like, oh, that looks really good. Where'd you get that? I genuinely wanted to know. So what I do is I will go look at my followers, and for me, how I determine who I'm engaging with is I look at who's interacting on my posts, like who's liking my posts, and I go return the love to them. And I go like their posts and I watch their stories. And if there's someone that I really, really, really like, I would love to have her in my challenge group, I save their post, and that way, like, I can go back to my saved post and I can remember, oh, I really want to have her. So I want to just give her some love. And again, just be a normal person. So those conversations, okay, this is, yeah. Oh, that one got moved out of place. So this is another one. I set notifications for 2 or 3 popular brands in my niche. So when a post goes up, I engage with comments. And this is from another coach. I also look at the content that I post and see what people are engaging with, like if they're saving it or commenting. So for me, for this coach, it was specific workouts, recipes. I do market research often and ask my audience what they would like to see. And I do this too now. So on weekends, I usually do a post and I'll just put up a little poll like, hey, this week on my Instagram account, do you want to see? And I'll be like, healthy snacks or healthy desserts? Workout clips or devotions? Like, and I just literally ask them, and then I'll sometimes put a little question box of like, if I didn't list it, comment here so I can be sure to talk about it, because then I'm able to see what they're asking for and what people want. And then you're going to be talking to them, and it just allows me to kind of build that trust with them. So really thinking through how can you share what your audience wants to see. I looked back at my posts and noticed that whenever I post about my husband and about miscarriage and about body image, those things get a lot of engagement. People like when I do that. And so I've been doing it more. Now those things have absolutely nothing, body image maybe, but those have nothing to do with Beachbody, nothing to do with coaching, nothing to do with my challenge groups. But when people can get to know me in that way, it builds trust with them, and they trust what I'm going to share. They realize like I'm a normal person, that I'm not some sleazy, scammy person. They like build that. And in my stories every day, I'm talking about my workouts. I'm talking about my challenge groups. It's being shared regularly, but I've built that trust in what I've been sharing with them. So that's kind of the first thing. Posting what people want to see. That's kind of what I just shared about. So your feed is your sort of your magazine front, and Rachel went into detail on this, so I'm not going to go into a ton of it, but it's sort of for me like the prettier pictures. It's a little bit, I've thought it through a little bit. You don't have to write crazy long captions or any. I like writing, so mine tend to get long, but just kind of mix it up. I try to look at, we only want to do one post today. I try to look at my photos. So like if I have one that's like of me and Ben, my next one might not be me and Ben. Or if I've had a lot of just me in a row, I'll like have to have my kids in it. And I do all of my own photos. They're all on self timers on my phone. Like I prop it up and I set the self timer on and I take the picture. So this is a lot of trial and error, but I know I'm not doing anything fancy. So I just kind of try to mix up and be aware of what I'm posting and stuff like that. So then in my stories, that's where it's just like a total hot mess every day. I don't have makeup on all the time. I don't try to hide the fact that I cannot keep up with folding my freaking laundry and it's always in a pile on my bed. Like if my kids interrupt me while I'm talking, I mean, it's just the real life, and it's sort of like your own reality show. And that I think is really the proof in the pudding of like that people can see what you're doing. So before I go into inviting people, do you guys have questions on that at all? Of kind of like how to post or how to find people and connect with them? Because I know that I used to have a ton of questions. So
I'm okay.
You're okay? Okay. Harry, I'm glad you made it. Do you have questions on that at all? No?
I think I'm good.
You're good. Okay, perfect. So now this is kind of the launch. I'm going to talk a little bit about Barre Blend, but I know, Carrie, are you doing Barre? I'm like totally, I have like such bad mom brain right now. What program are you doing? You're doing 20, no.
I'm in 21 Fix, and I plan to get Barre just.
Okay. Okay, I'm not insane. Okay, perfect. I'm trying to keep track of all you guys.
Yep.
So that's great. So this whole thing, like I'm going to talk about Barre Blend, but this can be applied to anything. So now that we've talked about like how to post and how to find people and how to just be normal in conversations, we're going to start talking about like how to actually move those into a sale. So the very first thing is I share every single day in my stories something about either coaching, it kind of depends on what I'm talking about, or challenge groups. So for you guys, I'm going to talk challenge groups. So what that looks like for you guys is you don't have a giant customer list to email. You don't have clients with transformations, and that's okay. And you shouldn't feel like you should have those. You guys are just starting. So what your strategy is going to be is to share every day, like in your stories, what were the moves from the workout that you loved? Like in Morning Meltdown, like we kind of talked about, like, can you suddenly do that crazy move? Or I would all like be like, this is the modifier. You don't have to be insane. Like, here's that, like talking through, what do you eat? Like people always get so intimidated about nutrition. So how are you eating and feeding your families? Like, what do you grocery shop for? Like just kind of sharing and really just giving that to people. I'll also share like pre-made Instagram stories. And these are like the ones that I drop in that new coach message thread. Have you guys seen those ones before that are like pretty when I share those?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's also a lot of them in our team page. And if you go to the albums, there's a whole bunch of Instagram stories in there that you can just save and use that are already done. So a pre-made one, let me just show you guys really quick. And if any of Rachel's coaches who watch the recording of this are on, I know that Rachel does the same thing. But and so these are ones, and Rachel talked through all of this as well, like with apps, but I usually use Unfold or Mojo. Like there's a couple different apps I use, and whenever I make them, I really try just to share them with you guys. But if you go to the albums on our team page, and let me see, go to, it would help if I like did it the correct way, wouldn't it? Hold on. Albums, there we go. So there's a whole lot in here. So for instance, like Stephanie, you're doing Morning Meltdown. There's 110 pre-made Morning Meltdown stories that you can save and just use, where it's like, what is it? What is the nutrition? And you just save this on your phone so you don't have to create this. And there's a whole lot of this for just general stories too. And Carrie, like I've been saving, I need to save them in an album on here, but like same with, like my brain is struggling today. Same with Bar Blend. So with these stories, I love these because they kind of educate a little bit, but they're not like all I talk about. I want people to hear my voice, to see me. So I will sprinkle these in to kind of like enhance. So if someone is like, I want to read all the details, they can see that, but it's not the only thing I share. So pre-made Instagram stories, sharing transformations, there's a ton of them. And so if you don't have your own transformation yet, guess what? You can Google like transformate, like Beachbody transformations, or if you are in like our team page, just post and say like, hey, who has a transformation I can share, like a mom transformation or something like that. And you can shout out your teammates. Like maybe Carrie drops her transformation and I share mine, and Ashley shares hers, and Stephanie's like, awesome, I'm going to share all of these, like shouting out the girls on my team who are getting these awesome results, showing that it works. Even though you're not quite there yet, you can still shout people out. So that's kind of what I'm sharing. Then and you don't have to worry necessarily about emailing right now because I know you guys don't have a customer list, but both of the programs that you're doing have sample workouts. And so when people are watching my stories all the time, or like someone that I just know in real life who's like, what are you doing? I'll just usually say like, hey, do you want to try? There's like a totally free 30-minute workout for it. I'm happy to give it to you, like no strings attached. But I always get their email because I want to build my email list and I want to be able to communicate them. This is just me, and I would strongly recommend this because I did not start out my business this way. And it like, I'm so disorganized for 2 years. I would just rely on marking things unread in Facebook Messenger or Instagram or like sticky notes in my house. But if I got someone's email, then I could like tag it in my email, and it was a more professional way to communicate. So I always try to get, like if someone wants to try it out, I'm like, awesome, Stephanie, I would love to shoot you over the Morning Meltdown workout. Can you get me your email really quick and I'll send it all over to you with all the info. And I just send it over. And then I would follow up with them afterwards and just say, hey, did you get a chance to do it? Do you like it? Like, I'm challenge group set up soon and I'd love to get you some more info. And it's really casual like that. The people that I'm inviting are people watching my stories, people like every day who are like engaged on that, people I know personally. If I'm putting up like an interest poll on Facebook, so like with Bar Blend, I was like, who here has always wanted to try a bar workout but never has? Like those kinds of ones. People who are liking and engaging on my posts. I would shoot them an invite, and it doesn't have to be spammy. It's genuinely usually me saying something to the effect of like, hey, Carrie, thank you so much for the love on my post. That's always really vulnerable for me to share. And I really, like, you don't even know how much your encouragement meant to me. I'm so excited about, you know, my next workout or whatever. If it was a post that was kind of related to that, no pressure at all, but I would love to get you some info if you're looking to, you know, to make some changes in 2020 in the new year, just engaging in conversation like that. If it's someone that I've never talked with, I wouldn't even invite them. It would be something to the effect of like, hey, thank you so much for following me. What do you like to see more of? And just getting that conversation going. And this is on, I've shared it in our team page and in the new coach training, but I'm going to drop this link here just so you guys have it. Hold on. It's like basically my whole conversation flow, and it also has in here invites that I send. So you can, I would always very strongly encourage you to take these, but don't be scripty with them. Like make them how you talk, or even better yet, like send a voice message. I'll just drop this link here in the chat really quick. But just so you can see it, like these are oftentimes I will do some of these invites. So it's literally broken out here of like new followers. What do I say? People who are watching my stories, someone who likes my posts, like it's literally all written out here. And again, you don't have to use these exact ones, but you can kind of see how I'm tweaking stuff for different situations. So you guys have that link if you need it again, or leave it or something, let me know. But it's really those conversations. And I think with inviting, people always get so nervous to do it. But here's how I like to think about it, is if you were having a birthday party for your kid and you are posting about the cool invites you got and the fun decorations you found on Etsy and you found the perfect place in the park to have it and all the, like how excited you are, you're making all the cupcakes, and then you're just sharing about it. And then, you know, the day before the party, you just post on Facebook or Instagram, like, hey, it's at 3:00 at Snyder Park. Like, everyone's welcome to come. I wouldn't show up to your kid's birthday party because I would feel like I was imposing and not necessarily that I was like specifically wanted. And so how I like to think of invites is when someone's engaging on my content, they're watching my stories, like that is my storefront. And it would be rude for me to not say hi when they walk into my store. Doesn't mean I'm forcing them to buy anything, but it's literally just acknowledging their presence. And if they're continually engaging on stuff, actually reaching out and helping them know that there is room for them and that they're wanted. And when you're sharing in a way that's not spammy, that's what we talked about and what Rachel talked about before, where it's truly just adding value and encouragement and sharing your journey, it is not spammy to reach out to someone like that, and because they'll kind of get to know you through it. And do people say no to me and ignore me still? Absolutely, they do. It's just a part of it, and I don't get offended anymore. I sometimes get annoyed still. I'm like, I know, but I know that there are those people who, with like when they reach out and when you connect with them, they are like, oh my gosh, like Stephanie does have room for me in her challenge group. Like she believes that I can do this. Like it means a lot. So the inviting piece should not be icky, like you've never talked to this person before and you're just instantly being like, join my group. Nobody wants to do that. But when it's someone who's engaging and you've been like having conversations with them, not about Beachbody, and you're just saying hi and welcoming them to your store, that's kind of where it really, really matters. So take all of those like ideas and conversations, I was trying to find it, and like this is one I would send to someone who I'd never talked to before, who's like watching my stories. Just like, I know it's a hot mess here, because it is, but I also might encourage or aspire. Are you following me for fitness, nutrition, the business, my faith, or my little fam? Anything you'd like to see more of. I love this one because oftentimes what I've noticed is someone will say, I'm trying to lose like I just had my daughter and I like following fitness accounts because I'm really trying to figure out how to lose the baby weight. Well, guess what? She just literally opened the door for me to say like, I would love to help, like an actual invite without me like being spammy first. It's just opening that conversation. This would be one I would send to someone who had been watching me for a long time, where I'm like, I'm so sorry I haven't before. I wanted to invite you to my next boot camp. I don't know if you have goals you're looking to reach, but I just love the community and being able to connect with other women. Would you ever like to learn more? And because I'm sharing about it in my stories all the time, like they kind of know what it's about. This one, I saw your comment on my post about my challenge group. Were you interested in getting some details or just supporting? Totally cool either way. So these are not like super, join my team. It's just like general. And then, so before I kind of talk to you guys about what I do when someone says yes, do you have questions on that at all or anything? That help?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Help it feel less scary. And honestly, I know it's scary, and I actually don't hate inviting anymore, but I used to. And I remember the very first time I sent out invites, I literally wanted to puke. I literally closed my eyes and hit send on the message. Like I just died, but I knew that I had to do it. And I did. Yeah. And I swear, I don't know why, but I swear that somehow people can pick up on your energy. And when I'm excited to invite them to something, when I'm excited about the challenge group that I'm running or anything like that, I feel like they can, that is something, even if I'm using the same words, if I'm like, don't want to bug you, sorry. I want to see, like, if you want to go to my challenge group, like, they're not excited either. But when I'm like, oh my gosh, I am on day 27 of this crazy 100-day program and I am loving it, or I'm 3 weeks into the 21-day fix, like when you're excited about it and you're confident of what you have to invite them to, that transfers. So I know it's scary. I know it is, but when you can kind of think about it as like you're inviting to a birthday party and you're just genuinely excited about it, some people might come, some people might not, but at least they know that you care about them. And that's kind of how I always think about it. And so if you need to chug some Energize or listen to like your pump up song or something like that, like do it. But it really does get easier the more often that you do it. So I know that it's always crazy, but I don't like to be spammy and I don't want you guys to be either. So if you're struggling with this at all, please reach out to me so that I can kind of help you tweak it depending on what you need. Once someone says yes, so for you guys who are new coaches, until I would say for this next, like in January, if you want to run your own group, if you guys want to pair up and run one together, like that's awesome. You're always welcome to invite people to my groups. I really think that after your second month as a coach, you should run your own or partner with another person on our team. I am always happy to have you in mine and have any of your customers. Like I do not care, but I think that for the people who start joining you, they don't know who I am and they don't connect with me, but they do connect with you. And I have all those tools to help you guys like run challenge groups and everything of what to say and what to post. And you're more than welcome to add them to mine. But I do think that if you have like 3 or 4 gals who want to do the workout with you in January, then I would encourage you to run your own and I will help you with that. But you are also more than welcome to invite to mine. So for me, my next challenge group, and if this helps you guys to kind of have in the back of your mind, that I'm inviting to is starting prep week, January, I'm like losing it, guys. Prep week, December 30th. So I know that I'm inviting it. We're going to kick off our workouts January 6th. I know that we're doing bar blend. And if people don't want to do bar, I'll have an option for them. We can get them set up individually. But I kind of know here's what I'm inviting to. And so all of my posts right now and my stories are kind of geared around my challenge groups and what I'm talking about. So I also have a date in mind that I know I'm kind of getting stuff next to. Then basically, when someone says they do want to jump in, the very first thing is to not word vomit about challenge packs on them. I made that mistake as a new coach, and I felt like everyone said no and just never got back to me. So the very, very first thing is just to have a conversation with them and literally just to say like, cool, Carrie, I would love to get you more info. What goals are you looking to reach? And then she might be like, I'm trying to lose the baby weight. And you're like, okay, I totally, I get that. I'm a mom. What type of workouts do you like? Is there anything you really hate? And she might say, I hate cardio, or I can't do something because of bad knees. Then I ask them about their nutrition. I just ask, what does your nutrition look like? Is it a struggle for you? What is your biggest motivator to getting healthy? Because I want to take it deeper than just, I want to lose 5 pounds. I want to hear about how they want to change and set an example for their kids, or maybe break a cycle in their family. Like I want them to know like what is the real reason. So in the link that I shared with you guys, it kind of has like a sample conversation. So these are some of the questions that I ask. And I would do this in Facebook Messenger or Instagram chat or text. Like I just kind of do it. Sometimes I'll send them as voice messages so they can hear my voice, getting to know them and their needs. After that, I do ask them to fill out a form, and I gave you the example one here. This is not mandatory. You don't have to have a form, but what I like to do with it is I like to have this form because I then ask them, hey, I would love to get you more info. Can you fill out this super quick form? And I will email you all the details. When they click on it, they get to see a whole breakdown before I even talk to them of everything that they're going to get, which I think is pretty cool. So they kind of know like, oh, wow, before I've even told them, I get all of these things. And you can make this your own. I gave you instructions in there on how to copy it. And then I ask them questions about, what is your fitness level? Have you ever done a Beachbody program? What is your nutrition? What has tried before? What is your struggles? Like, I ask them to share all this. And why I like having this form is it saves us both a lot of time in the conversations, and I can really get to know them. They might have told me they want to lose 5 pounds and their daughter motivates them, but maybe they didn't tell me they struggle with binge eating or whatever. And so all of a sudden I have a whole lot more information specifically that I can help them with and really tailor, because I genuinely, they're not just a sale to me. I do want to help them. And I also want to make sure that what I have to offer them will work for them. Like maybe Beachbody isn't the solution and I don't want to push something on them. So I get all these questions. Then when they fill out this form, what I do, and I kind of shared this all here, so this would be an example, is I sent them an email. So I just say like, I was reading, I had a huge smile on my face the whole time because I love your story. And, I read over everything and definitely send you all the info, but wanted to ask if there's specific workouts. So I kind of get to know her a little bit here. And after that, I send them the long email that has all the cost info and all of the details. I have it tailored again to their goals and to their program. So in this example, I was recommending, I think, 2B Mindset. And this email right here. So there's kind of some different, after I send them that and they say yes, I add them to the group and all that. But so this would be a great one where I'm really going into detail. First of all, I thank them for sharing with me. And I tell them like, this is a longer email, but I want to make sure you have all the info. And I've already talked to them about what their goals are. My daughter's coming in crying.
She ate horseradish plain.
Where is Dad?
She ate
Where is Dad?
back there, and she ate horseradish plain.
Sorry, guys. She ate a bunch of horseradish.
Oh, gosh. Gross.
Okay, sorry, Ben has her. She's fine. It's very mild horseradish. So you can kind of see here, I'm giving them some examples of what they're going to get out of the group for nutrition. I break down every single option that they're going to get when they buy a challenge pack. 1 year streaming, 30 days accountability, access to all our groups, like a specific one that's in red for nutrition. So I'm literally breaking down everything. And then they get the cost where with my groups, you never pay for my coaching. It's just this. There are a few different options. My recommendation is the middle one, and I actually insert a graphic, and these are all linked in that document. And what happens is I always lead with the challenge pack, and I would say a solid 60% of the time, people actually end up picking the middle, more expensive option, which is kind of crazy, but they suddenly see the breakdown, and if they're going to purchase, they're usually like, oh, it's only $30 more for like these things. Or if they don't pick the more expensive option, they're like, they feel like they got a really good, well, they did get a really good deal, but they feel like, oh man, I got an awesome deal. Like, this is great. So I really, really make sure that I give them those. And then I tell them, like, now that we've gone over your options, I know you're nervous. Like, here's why I believe in you. Let's do this. I send them. Once they tell me, like, yes, I'm in, that's when I send them the link through ShareAcart, and I can help you guys do that. But it's really this process where before I ever share the price with them, I break it all down to their goals. And if someone asks me first, like, cool, Abby, what's the, like, I'd love to join, like, Stephanie, I'd love to get more info on your group. How much does it cost? Because oftentimes that's the first question, or I'm not looking to spend money, or, whatever. I never feel like I'm never trying to hide anything, because I'm not, but I never want to tell them the cost before I know what they want out of it. So usually what I'll say is something like, totally get that. There's actually a bunch of different options depending on what you want. What are your goals? And I lead them back to that question. And I'm like, I'm not trying to hide it, but I just want to be sure that I can actually give them, because depending on what they tell me, there might be different options for them. And if they still can't afford it at the end of the day, if they can't do a challenge pack, they can get other things that I can help you guys have those conversations. So don't be nervous about those questions. No one wants to pay anything. And I think 9 times out of 10, and I will say, like, there are people absolutely who do not have 2 pennies to their name and they can't afford stuff. And I know that, but I think a lot of times, especially with women, there is so much connected to their body image and things that they've maybe tried before, or things their mom told them or a friend said in school. Like, there's so much baggage that we can drop $150 at Target like this. But Target, you can't fail Target. And when they see that thing sitting on their DVD shelf or whatever, maybe it's a reminder of all the times they've tried to make changes and have failed. And it's so much more like them. It's really hard for them to spend money on themselves. So I always make sure they know, like, there's a money back guarantee, but also, like, here's why it can work for you and be different than what you did before. And I'm going to be here with you. Like, I'm on my own journey too, and I'm in the trenches with you. Like, so I really think that the price objections or the objection, like the time ones are just silly because there's 20-minute workouts. Like, you can buy 20 minutes. But the cost ones, I think oftentimes are really tied more towards other fears. And so I kind of try to get them talking about those things. There's a girl in one of my challenge groups, Brittany. She has lost over 50 pounds now. She's been crushing it. And she watched me for months. I invited her for a long time. They didn't have the money. And she wanted it so badly. She just kept talking to me. And like every time I post anything, and finally she used her Mother's Day money, sold stuff on Facebook Marketplace, and had a garage sale. And she was that committed. And I think, and she actually told me, she's like, once I spent $160 on myself, like, I was invested in the process. It wasn't like, oh, it was a $5 membership or a free thing. She's like, I had to show up for myself. And now she's gotten incredible results because of it. So nervous about that. Like, it's a part of the process. And the more you have these conversations, the easier it gets. And I'm here to help you. So if you're in the middle of talking to someone, you're like, Abby, I don't know what to say. Like, shoot me a message, and that's what I'm here for. But that's really it. Once they do enroll, then I get them added to my challenge group. And if you're inviting people to mine, like, we can just reach out and we'll figure out that next step. But that's really the process of kind of the sharing to converting. Was that helpful for you guys, or do you feel more overwhelmed?
No, I think that was helpful.
Okay. Carrie, is that good for you?
Yeah, it was helpful. So
Okay.
overwhelmed.
Okay. What are you overwhelmed with? Let's talk it out.
I don't know. I think like the whole still the inviting thing, just, it freaks me out.
I know. It's scary. I know it is. And truly, like, you have to get to a point where you're okay doing it, or your business like won't grow. And you just have to know that, like, I won't grow until I do this. And I like to think of it too as, like, again, I'm not sending out icky, spammy invites just to random people, because no one wants that. But like, if I found a new restaurant I liked, I would share about it. If I found like an awesome deal, I would share about it with my best friend or whatever. And so, like, do people still tell me no and ignore me? Totally. But they're seeing me show up in all these other areas, and they've seen me. I mean, now I have 4 years under my belt, but when I was a brand new coach, they saw me as a really busy working mom, and they saw me get results, and they saw me, and I talk about how much I love ice cream and chocolate all the time, because I do. It's like my biggest weakness, that I was still enjoying that. Like, they watched my journey. And so as they were engaging on my stuff, I'd try to make sure that I was sharing content, like a post or a story that would really get the likes and comments. They don't always, but not in like a spammy way. But I'm like, if I'm sharing a quick and healthy lunch recipe, or like a toddler, like sneaking veggies into my toddler's food, just like tips, people love that. Like, other moms love that. And so then they're engaging on my stuff. And when I invite them, because they've seen me give all this value, they don't get offended, because they're like, oh, Abby is getting results. And like, she shared that awesome Toby toddler recipe the other day, or, you know, went live about her, like something in her devotions that were an encouragement to her, or shared this part of her journey. And all of a sudden they relate to me a little bit more because maybe they realized something that they didn't know. So I think it kind of all ties together, where inviting does feel icky if you don't have the proof and like the heart to back it up. And that's where your posts and your stories, where people get to know you and they see your heart behind it. So it is a process, and it's that compound effect. So there's those little baby steps, like, and in my mind as a brand new coach, what I would try to keep in the back of my mind is like the power of 3. So I wouldn't go to bed tonight until I had sent 3 invitations. I'd found 3 new friends, and I had done like 3 posts, and it was Facebook, so it was a little different, but like 3 posts. And I just was like in the back of my mind, like, if all I do is 3 a day, that's more, like by the end of the month, that's almost 100 people that I've talked with. Like, that's pretty cool. But it's not intimidating when I'm like, okay, what 3 people liked my posts and watched my stories today that I can just connect with? And the very first connections aren't invites. They're just connections. Just like, hey, thank you so much. What do you know, what do you want to see more? Like, I would love to share more that would really help you. And so it's that kind of a thing. Does that help? A little bit?
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm pumping, so I know the pumping.
Oh
is
no,
ongoing.
you know that sounds well.
But-
Well, I don't want to take more of your guys' time. Is there anything else that'd be helpful for you guys tonight?
I don't think so.
Okay, if you need anything, just post either in, well, you can text me or message me, or post in the new coach message thread or in this little new coach group, and Rachel or I can see those too. So otherwise, I know it's later for you guys than it is for me, so I really appreciate you being on tonight. I love you. Sorry about my daughter screaming. I will let you guys go. Have a great evening. Bye.
You
You too.
Bye.
Bye.